It's still not yet generated, guys. I don't know. I don't know, guys. The form is still not generated, huh? I don't see it. So, what else can we do? So we'll see if that gets generated. That's fine. Otherwise, we'll continue. The thing is, we might not be able to see the form for some time. No. So that's fine. So what we'll do is we'll continue with our eligibility rules. I wanted to show them comparing a form without any eligibility rules and a form with eligibility rules. So it looks like today's system is a bit slow on the generation side. So usually sometimes it happens. So let's say what we do here is eligibility rule 1. Okay. So here what we need to do is we need to put conditions. So you can choose any of the standard fields available. Okay. So if you look at the standard fields here, you can use any of these fields wherein you can say that an employee whose salary grade, okay, if you take this one, so is equal to something or not equal to something, or you can also take job level or job family or country or something. Let's say, for example, if I take a review rating is let's say, for example, if his review rating is less than 3, you can add one condition. You can also add more conditions. Okay, like this, for example, you can choose one more. Let's say department, and if department is equal to this, so it follows the condition of all these rules. So you can similarly choose the condition, the values. You can also use some custom fields. So if the review rating is less than 3, the employee will not be eligible for bonus, tab, or salary tab. Tab, when I say tab, it's not eligible for the whole what is it called, the salary sheet or bonus sheet or stock sheet at all. So I'm saying that when an employee gets a salary, sorry, when an employee gets a rating less than 3, then the employee will not be eligible for stock or bonus for that particular year. You can also come down to a more granular level approach, wherein you can say that an employee is not eligible for promotion as well, adjustment as well, lump sum as well. Okay, so only thing is eligible for is the salary, I mean the merit increase. Okay, so let's say for example, you can also make sure if the review rating is 1, you can say is not eligible for compensation at all. Is that clear? That is what we're doing here. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to set up a condition wherein we're defining an employee's eligibility for certain components of a compensation template. Is that clear? Guys, is that clear?
Hello, Praveen.
Yes.
Yeah, Praveen. Look, what about the form we just generated, like version 10, okay? And we are trying to add eligibility for that particular 10, or is it going for all the forms, whatever we have? Because we haven't.
Sorry, what is that? Sorry.
Look, whatever the eligibility criteria we're just trying to define now, okay, we have to assign this eligibility criteria to, or is it going to be assigned to everyone, all the forms?
This is for this particular form template.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Praveen, what if we create multiple rules?
You can create multiple rules. That's absolutely fine.
No, can you go back to the previous screen, please? How do we actually map the rule with the eligibility?
One second, it's processing. So you just need to, okay, I'll show you. Let's this gets completed. Looks like today's system is a bit slow, guys. Okay. Now we have the templates. Okay. Before we see that, let's quickly see the form template that was generated before that gets completed. The eligibility rule application gets completed. So this is our form that we generated, right? So within the form, you see that employees have a different set of fields. We can assign as many as we wish, actually, for that question from Srinivas. How many eligible into particular form? You can assign as many as you wish, which we'll do now. That was one of the questions as well. So if you look at this one here, so you see that someone put an employee here. Okay, so for example, if I would like to define someone saying, okay, if you are eligible for this or that, so you can say with this eligibility rules, based on the conditions that you have, you can say that an employee is eligible only for merit, only for lump sum, or only for adjustment, or eligible for all these things, or let's say is not eligible for bonus. So you can say that an employee is not eligible for bonus if his review rating is something like less than 3 or something. Okay, so this is something that we have defined. So let's get back and see by applying the rule, and we'll generate a new form. I'm not sure how much time it will take again, but let's hope it will be quick. Right, so we've gone here. So this is where we define the rule. Right, so someone had a question here. So can we add multiple rules? Yes, you can. Simply add rule, put the conditions, you put a rule name. Eligibility rule 02, let's say for example. You can put a condition which says the job level is equal to VP, or you can say not equal to VP, whatever you wish. Okay, then you can say that the employee is not eligible for, you can say that the employee is not eligible for pension bonus or adjustment, promotion. You can simply select what is that he is not eligible for. Okay, so you can define all these things and save it. So you'll see multiple rules now for the same form. Likewise, you can continue adding the rules as per the conditions that you need. Is this a question that someone was asking for?
Yes, Praveen, thank you.
Right, so you keep on adding as many rules as you wish based on the conditions that you have, and you can simply define who is eligible and who is not. Okay, so let's say we create of another form after applying this eligibility criteria. Sorry guys. Okay, so we'll quickly apply this and let's see how this eligibility criteria rules will impact your form. I'll just generate the plan for everyone because I'd like to show you different scenarios. Okay, this is quick. So we'll go to Alan Thompson. So we have a condition which says if an employee's review rating is less than 3, he's not eligible for stock, bonus, as well as is not eligible for, you see here, is not eligible for lump sum, is not eligible for adjustment, is not eligible for promotion. All of them got grayed out. You see this one, everyone here So this one, for example, an employee with a rating above 3 is eligible for lump sum, but an employee with a rating less than 3 is not eligible for lump sum. Same is the case with adjustment, promotion and everything. So because we defined an eligibility criteria in that particular rule. Okay, similarly when I go to bonus, you see that this employee, these two employees who have a rating less than 3 are not eligible for the whole bonus sheet at all. So that's why you don't see anything available for them in the bonus sheet. Same is available or applicable for stock sheet as well. Right, the same thing. It's applicable for everything. So this is same. So they're kind of knocked out from the salary and bonus and stock sheets. So this is how your eligibility criteria comes into picture. Let's say I hope the second rule is already applied or kind of didn't apply before I generated. So let's say I go to Marla Gibbs and see once, just and this time. So those employees who are above, who are not, whose job level is not equal to vice president, should not be eligible for certain fields, right? So we just want to see whether that one is okay. So you have here A, R, D, and all. So from the rule you see here, so these people who are not eligible, so those who are VPs are not eligible for any of the fields. That's again coming from your eligibility rule based on the logic that we define. Whole. I'm not eligible for whole stock or bonus template. So this is how you apply your eligibility rules. Any questions, anyone? Any questions? Is that clear, everyone?
Praveen?
Yes.
Praveen, it's not a basic question, but for the clarity. And when we're trying to generate a form, we just giving the version like we live in our week and something, right? When you're going with that, is it going to be copied from the standard template what have been available in the SF?
Sorry, what is that?
So when you're trying to generate the form, you're just trying to give the title like version 1 or version 12 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So is it going to be copied from the standard template, whatever been available in the SF?
What do you mean by standard template available?
Look, when you, as soon as we generated this particular form, version 11 or version 12, so all the rest of the fields are going to be copied, right? Look,
so this is coming from right? That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So whatever we is here should be applicable in your form.
Yes, whatever, when you're trying to create a worksheet, everything is going to be copied to that particular, the new version template, right?
Yes, from this particular template, yes.
Okay. From that particular template, new template is going to be copied into, right?
So that one is not a template, that's just a form. The template is a form.
Okay.
Yeah. And you should use headset, Gary, because we have an echo.
Yeah.
We are using
Sorry.
speaker. Okay, so we have seen how to create an eligibility rules, and I hope everyone is clear with that. The next one is guidelines. It's very important. Okay, so this is something that's really important, guys. When you look at compensation concepts, this one plays a very key role on how you define guidelines. Okay, so to start with, Let's say, for example, as an employee, you get some review rating. Okay, you get rating 3 or rating 4 or rating 5. But how do your company defines, based on the rating, how much hike you should get? So this is coming from your guidelines. If you remember around the basic concepts, guidelines was discussed, and I said this plays a very vital role as part of your compensation process. So you can define guidelines for salary, I mean merit, bonus, or adjustments, or everything. So this guidelines defines the planner a range of values that you can choose from based on some conditions. So now what we'll do is we'll go and define the settings, okay, or we go inside a particular template, or we can actually delete them and create as well. So I'm just changing one of them because it's already copied, so we'll use the standard and then modify it as per our rating. So if you look at our guideline criteria, the guideline criteria talks about, this is for type merit. So that means this particular guideline is used for merit increase. Similarly, you have guidelines for lump sum to promotions, stock options, and those which are already used, you don't see them. Otherwise, you will see bonus, you will see bonus 1, promotion 1, stock, and all those other options available. And you can also define the formula criteria. Here I'm using ratings. You can also use, let's say for example, an employee whose job level is vice president. For them, if the review rating is, let's say, 1 to 5, for different ratings you have different set of values. And if an employee's rating is less than vice president, or let's say equal to something, then you can define a different set of formula for them. In that case, what you need to do is you have a rating and job level as a criteria, or the pay grade as a criteria. So you can say those employees who fall below 3 or below 5 or whatever grade, and if they have certain ratings, then you define some percentage, whereas those on the higher grades might have a different criteria or guidelines to be defined. In that case, you use combinations of these values, and then you can also define whether it's an amount or a percentage. So you can say whether it's an amount or a percentage value that you want to define in that particular guidelines. Like you can say 3 to 5%, or you can say, let's say $3,000 to $5,000, something like that. And you can also define a hard limit. What is this hard limit? A hard limit is whether you want to allow an employee to exceed his guidelines. As a planner, or you allow your employee or a manager to plan some employee's salary not following the guidelines. That means, let's say for example, if it's 3 to 5, can you say it's 7%? Can you allow an employee or a planner to give merit increase above the guidelines or below the guidelines? So that's something you can select by using this hard limit. Hard limit yes or no. So if you say no, that means the employee limit is not followed. I mean the guidelines limits are not followed. Whereas if you say yes, then you follow the guidelines. Okay, you follow the limits. So an employee will be, or you can't complete the form unless you follow the guidelines. And then whether you would like to prorate this particular guideline. Yes, that means employee, if you have a proration eligibility, then the guidelines will also be prorated. Okay, so that's one thing. And so false or default, so whether when the rating changes, whether you default the change, yes, you do that. High-low action, warning, or allow. So that means you can also, at the beginning itself, it can throw an error saying, okay, if you're going above the limits, you can throw an error, a warning message that you are exceeding the budget. These are the conditions. Now we'll go inside the formula or inside the rule, wherein you can define what are the guidelines that you have. It says 0 to 1. Okay, 0 greater than or equal to 1. So the value is 0. It's 1 to 2. Greater than 1, less than 2, have a rating. So likewise, you see here, for example, what I'll do is I'll define this to no unrated. So there are unrated employees in the system. So for them currently we don't see anything. For them you just need to put blank so that unrated is included. And now it's like unrated to 1, 0 value, and you've got merit 1 to 2. So that means rating greater than 1, less than 2 for them. So it's like minimum is 0, the default is 1.5, and the maximum is 3. So the rating is from 0 to 3, and the default value that you see here is something that system gives by default for an employee when you define the rating, okay, for when you define the hike. And then you've got ratings 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and 4 to 5. Okay, this is how system ideally takes the values now. So here is the ranges that you define to talk about the employees' merit guidelines. These are called guidelines for merit now. Okay, sorry.
Praveen, where did you define the maximum value?
So here we're defining the low, high, and maximum values.
Okay.
Okay, so we save it. We'll now go and see if the form can be generated quickly.
Praveen, every time you do a change, you need to generate a new form, is it?
Usually you don't generate forms this often. You only generate form once.
Oh,
So this
how is
all should
that?
be done before you should not change the form once you launch it. As simple as that. So this is something that you need to do before you launch the forms. I'm doing it because I'm showing you the difference between the previous step and the current step by generating too many forms.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Ideally, I think this is something that I told you. So what it is in a real-time environment, you make all the changes to the form, then only you launch the form.
Okay.
Sorry. So you can't make a change and then generate a form and then delete it and then create it. No, you don't do it that way. This is only for our practice. I'm just doing it so that you get used to the system, as well as I'm showing the difference between the previous version and current version by showing the impact of the change that we're doing. Okay, so there's that form. So now if you look at this unrated should have a guideline of whatever 0 to, you don't say it, merit guidelines, you don't say it. But you can see here that for a rating of 3 point something, a default of 2.5, which I did not give. The system is generating the value by default. based on the rating. Rated, we'll see. Let's say, for example, I'll put the employee's rating to something. I'll take so not coming, guys. So we need to update this performance form for this Larry Hillard, guys. Otherwise, you don't see the rating of the person here. So first, let me quickly do that. So it's 2010. So I'll just make sure that it's correctly done, because it's not saving for some reason, I don't know. Okay, now you see this one saving, okay. So it should work now. Let's come back to our compensation. No. We'll relaunch the form for this guy, so that should make sense. Because now it should be there, because I see the rating being saved. Maybe I'll launch it for everyone so that you can see the ratings and then the guidelines. Okay. This is not good. Oh, why it shows. I don't know guys why this is not updating, to be honest. Should update us. Let me go and take a different form, different user. Maybe we'll go to Marla Gaps. So I wanted to show all the possible ratings that we created from our guidelines. So I'll show some. This is even worse. So we don't have any ratings defined, so this is bad. Looks like no one even touched the ratings that was part of the assignments. So if you open your pre-work that we did, there's an assignment which says you need to fill all these employees ratings and then close performance forms. So that's one of the reasons why you don't see it. No. But you still need to see a guideline for non-unrated people. That's something which is also missing. Okay, so guys, if you can actually work on the performance form before next class and see if employees ratings are maintained for all of them, around 20 people are there, so that would be a good exercise because we can then switch around things and see how different scenarios can be met. Otherwise it is wasting your time. If someone can do that, that would be really good. Otherwise we need to see how we can, at least how I can do it myself. Can someone take it? Can someone take that assignment of creating the performance ratings for all the employees in the system? There are around 20 people, so you can take Marla Gibbs and Alan Thompson and see the people under them and then define it. Okay, so let's see if I can do something. Okay, so there's one. I'll also put a new formula, which is merit for unrated. So I'll just leave it as is. Okay, that means I'll just show you by putting some difference here. Default is, let's say, 0.5, 1, 1. Just to show you how unrated definition will work. Let's quickly do this one last time. You see now for unrated as well, there is a rating scale that's coming up. All those people without any rating also, you see that they get rating scale now. That's because of the guidelines. Oh, sorry, not rating scale, that's a wrong terminology, I'm so sorry. So you see a range of salaries that you can define for those people without any rating. So I define 0 to 1 for those people who are unrated. So I didn't define any rating and just said 0 to 1. So that's why if you look at it, any people without a rating, they will have 0 to 1 range. So this is how we define guidelines. Tomorrow, if we can actually make our performance review ratings complete, I guess I'll show you a different scenario where your ratings are coupled with, let's say, your job level. If you are in a vice president level and you have a rating, then we'll see a different set of guidelines compared to a person with a different set of job level and rating scales. Okay, so based on these two combination, we can define guidelines as well. So that's something we'll do that as an exercise tomorrow. But before that, if someone can take the ownership of defining the ratings, scattered ratings, or you can use a document that I sent you for initial pre-work, wherein you have ratings defined as per the system requirements that we can see. So you can use any of those two. Use either random values, but make sure all the scenarios are covered, or you can use the values defined in the system. Okay, so please do that exercise so that it would help us kind of reduce our time to maintain these things. Okay, is that clear, everyone? What is a guideline and what is a